Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more Bloodsword. Finally I get some time to myself to be able to record again. Ooh, having a bit of a time recently, I'll tell you that. Anyway, our four heroes are gathered here together in the tap room of the inn they made it to. I can't remember the name of it. A little village on the edge of the shore. It wasn't Misdrake's, was it? The inn, the village. Was Misdrake's the previous village they passed through on their way here? Anyway, here we are. Let's continue. And I'll reread this section because it was at the end of the last episode. You wander into the tap room of the inn, which is thick with the fumes emanating from the clay pipes of most of the sailors seem to be smoking. At the far side of the room you see a group of priests dressed in fine cloaks sitting talking intently to an old man in a black brocade coat. At the bar a large party of traders and furriers are bartering noisily. We could go over and talk to the priests, go and talk to the traders, or go see the landlord and ask about renting a room at the inn. Let's go and talk to the priests. You lose sight of the priests as you push through the crowded throng at the bar towards them. When you reach them, finally, you find that there is no sign of the old man you saw sitting with them earlier. You now see that the priests wear flesh-tinted lacquer masks. "Come, sit with us," says one of them, his voice muffled by the mask in front of his mouth. He sweeps their pet raven, a mangy, irascible creature, from the bench at the head of the table. The bird screeches fiercely and struts to and fro underneath the table. You seat yourself, and after a moment's silence, the priests start speaking to you one after another. "North and east of here lies the kingdom of Wyrd," says the first. "Across the ice that closes from the north with the coming of winter," murmurs another, "an arduous journey. No boat can take you there, nor would any captain sail to the shores of Wyrd." The fourth priest sighs, and for a moment there is a silent pause. He looks sadly at the bird strutting up and down underneath the table. "Will you buy our raven, Scribo? We want only 1 gold piece for him." "If you want to buy the raven, pay the gold piece. The priests don't have anything more to say to you, so you bid them farewell. You know what? A witch or wizard should have a pet. Ariadne will purchase Scribo the raven." For a whole cost of 1 whole gold piece, taking her down to 69. Now, here we are. If you bought Scribo the raven, note who is his new owner. The bird does not count as an encumbrance item, as he will follow you around if he is not carried. If you haven't already done so, you may join the traders by the bar, or look for the landlord and try to rent a room at the inn. Well, I'm thinking renting a room will be the last thing we want to do. We might be able to go talk to everyone afterwards, but hey, let's go talk to the traders. If we're going on a long and arduous journey across the cold frozen north, then we better get some supplies. And hey, there's some merchants right here. I mean, they're off duty, although they might be doing business with each other, doing a business deal, haggling over the price of goods. Let's go see what they're up to. Let's go see. The traders nudge each other as you wander over to them, and there is a sudden flurry of activity as they start unpacking their boxes and displaying their best goods. "Behold," says one, holding up a snow leopard cloak, "the finest and warmest furs this side of the gouge. This will save you from the cold fingers of winter. Another trader pushes himself to the front, a small metal brazier clutched in one of his hands. Indeed, this winter will be more severe than any in living memory, they say, which is why you need something in which to place your fire and warm your hands. After some haggling, you establish the prices of the various items on offer. Thick fur cloaks are 10 gold pieces each. Iron rations for 1 week are 2 gold pieces each. For those of you not familiar with old 80s gaming terminology, iron rations are basically like preserved rations but won't go off after a few days, so they'll last a longer time. Gloves, 2 gold pieces a pair. A bedroll, 5 gold pieces each. A brazier with fuel, 7 gold pieces each. Well, we shouldn't need more than one of those. Buy what you want and deduct the money from your character sheet. If you want to continue your conversation with traders, we have an option. I would talk to the priest if you haven't already done so, talk to the landlord, or leave the inn and take a stroll about the town. Right, let's look at this. I think everyone's going to want a thick fur cloak. At 10 gold each, let us make that a solid, firm purchase. For everyone. It's worth noting that we may have to shuffle some items around so that everyone can be equipped with their new purchases. So everyone, yes, we are aware Remy has most of the party funds, which means he can also be persuaded to pay for a lot of things. I think everyone is also going to want gloves. Remy can pay for the gloves easily. And now we come to our first quandary. Brother Kern has no space to carry gloves. I think he will give the golden snuff box of Shormiano to Remy on the understanding that he is very careful when it is used. So now the only person who can carry things is Sir Alwyn. And he can only carry 2 things. Everyone's got cloak, everyone's got gloves. We're going to want rations, and there's 4 people. So 4 loads of rations, 2 loads would make sense, but we can't carry that much. So let's get 2 weeks of rations that Sir Alwyn will carry, and because they're for everybody to eat, Remy's going to pay for those. Another 4 gold. He's getting closer to the party average now. So now the question becomes, is there anything we can afford to abandon? That brazier does look like it would be nice and warm. Keep us all warm, because with fuel included, unfortunately, everyone's pack is now full. It is at this point that Remy comes up with an intelligent suggestion and points out that since our money pouches only take up 1 item slot regardless of how many coins are in them, maybe we should put all the coins into 1 pouch. And that would free up 3 inventory slots. Of course, Sir Alwyn sees through this immediately and says, I imagine you'll be the one carrying it, won't you? And Remy says, oh, well, of course. I mean, it's for the good of the quest and to help everybody and, it's for the good of the party. And, Brother Kern, the sage, suggests that maybe this is a good idea. Arguably, the empty pouches would take up no space, and we'd get a money pouch with some coins in at the start of the next book anyway, and could then divide them all up again. This feels like a bit like abuse and cheating, though, so what else could we part with? We could ditch the Scroll of Time Blink. I think that's a bad idea. It's also probably a good idea. We're unlikely to find another use for the Dragon Lord gem. I don't think we're likely to find another anti-magic area that it could be used in. It is a precious treasure, though, which may... The quivers can only hold 6 arrows, so we can't trade arrows between our 2 archers. It would be nice to get some bedding as well. Ooh. Okay, let's see. I think we might have to pool all the money. Abusive though this seems. Okay, let's do that. 59, 60, 58. So 180, 177, and 85 is 250, 262. And we will presume that an empty money pouch does not take up a massive amount of space. So we'll get Ariadne a bedroll, and Brother Kern as well. And I think we'll divide up the money again afterwards as soon as inventory slots start opening up. And that will be 2 bedrolls at 10 gold total, and 7 for the brazier is 17. Remy now discovers that while he's carrying all the money, he actually has to pay for anything, and so he doesn't like his idea quite so much and suggests maybe the sage would be better suited to carrying the coin, at which he's told, you wanted to carry it. Although 245 gold is pretty impressive, and he consoles himself at least with that. So Sir Alwyn will have the brazier. And fuel as well. So we got 2 bedrolls. It is possible that the bedrolls might get swapped around a bit, so that some characters might take it in turns to be a little bit warmer on a night. Although Remy and Sir Alwyn have 18 endurance, and Brother Kern and Ariadne only have 15. So perhaps they will need more protection from the cold. I also feel that pooling the money was an abuse, and I probably shouldn't have done it, but I really need the supplies. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below about pooling the money there, and whether the empty pouches should count as a non-slot item, because you'll always have it, and like it could be a pocket pouch, small sack, whatever, right? Let us continue our conversation with the traders and see what else they got to say, or what we can learn from them. You mentioned that your quest leads you to the kingdom of Wyrd, and ask them if they can advise you as to your route. There is a momentary silence as they look at one another with amused grins, then one of them lets out a bellow of laughter. Why, my advice is that no route is good for travelling to Wyrd, for few that do go are likely to return. They all laugh, disregarding your impatience. The man who spoke before dips his finger in a pool of spilled ale and begins to draw a crude map of the coast. Seriously, he says, if you cannot be dissuaded, I will tell you. You'll have to go over the pack ice at this time of year. Get passage on a ship going north. The Magdalen that brought us here is a good un, but she'll be berthed in the harbour here. She's a ship to take you north, or I'm a barnacle. Once you got to Port Luckves here, or even Dowerhaven if you can, you'll have a 3-day hike over the ice to Wyrd. You thank him curtly and take your leave. Enjoy your hike, one of them calls out, braying with laughter. You would be inclined to teach him some manners if he were not so far in his cups. He's not likely to remember why he got beaten up. We haven't arranged accommodation for the night yet, so we should blatantly try and do that. And Remy's going to have to pay for it. With his ill-gotten gains. Come on. Just scrolling that little bit further. I will be interested to see when the other books of the series go up on drive-through, because the PDF was linked, so you could just click on links to go straight to sections. And that'll speed things up, obviously, for this playthrough. You eventually locate the landlord, a large, red-faced man who pours with sweat as he rushes to and fro serving customers. There are no rooms available, he says, taking a disdainful look at your shabby travelling clothes. A pallet in the common room costs 1 gold piece a night, or 2 gold pieces if you want to be next to the hearth. He holds out a meaty hand. In advance, if you don't mind. You have no choice but to pay him, as you cannot be sure how long it will be before you get berth on a ship. Cross off the money from your character sheets. Well, there's only 1 pallet by the hearth, incidentally, so everyone's on full health anyway, so we don't need to be too close to the fire, although Ariadne might feel her toes getting a little too cold. So that's 4 more gold pieces. Look, we got loads of money. We get to spend the money. We need the money. It's been spent, it's gone, it's served its purpose. Now it's serving its purpose for someone else. So no one's going to sleep by the hearth because we're not anticipating taking damage. While you're talking to the landlord, the priests get up and leave. So if we'd gone to talk to the landlord first, we would have lost our chance to purchase Scribo the Raven. Don't know if Scribo's going to be particularly helpful, but maybe he'll come in really helpful at some time when we need him. We can't go talk to the traders who've already done it, so let's go for a walk around town, see if we can find a ship's captain willing to take us north. The Magdalen is the one the merchants mentioned, isn't it? So let's see if we can get passage on that. You push your way through the crowded streets of Port Kwanongu. Not Misdrake's. Misdrake's was the village on the way here. Passing cursing sailors, oilskin-clad whalers, traders clad in expensive furs, and the occasional woman dressed in bright clothes who winks slyly at you as you pass. Finally, you arrive at the harbour. 2 ships immediately attract your attention because of their sturdy, ocean-going appearance. These are whaling ships, and their decks are covered with the hooks, harpoons, and metal chains that form the instruments of the grisly trade of whaling. Further down the wharf, you see a low-lying sloop, the Magdalen, which looks to be a coastal trading vessel. This is the sort of ship you are looking for, and you hail the captain. A tall, gaunt man comes down the gangplank and looks you up and down. You inquire where the ship is bound and what fare he will charge for passage. "We're bound for Dowerhaven," he says in a rasping voice. "If you're not afraid of hard work at the oars of my crew, passage is free." We can agree to work our passage at the oars or decide that rowing for our passage is undignified. Nah. Look, it's free. Remy doesn't like the hard work, but he likes the fact that he doesn't have to pay for it. Sir Alwyn is not afraid of hard work, and Brother Kern is willing to put in the effort for the good of the quest. Ariadne doesn't like the idea, but she's willing to side with the group on this. If we can't get on a ship, this is one the merchants came on. They probably didn't get the merchants to row for free. and there probably aren't very many other good options. The captain of the Magdalen is Master Durzu. Now that you have agreed to his terms, he smiles at you warmly and shakes your hand, concluding the deal. "We put up at dawn tomorrow," he says. "In the meantime, I would make the most of your time ashore, for tomorrow will be an exhausting day. Do you need an inn to stay at?" We already paid for tonight's lodging at the Ulrich's Bones Inn. There is an alternative if we hadn't, but we've already made a deal. Money has changed hands, the deal is done, let's go. Be sure that you have already paid for tonight's lodging. We have. If you only paid for last night's accommodation, so we could have slept overnight and then tried to find a ship and then ended up needing to sleep again before the ship could leave, I don't know. Then you must part with another gold piece now if you want an ordinary pallet, and 2 gold pieces if you want the pallet in front of the fire. You will recover 1 endurance if you have the common pallet, and half your rank in endurance, rounding up fractions, if you have slept by the hearth. Again, we don't need to recover any endurance. We're all fine. If you want breakfast at 1 gold piece, this will restore another endurance point. Well, I mean... Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Remember that your total endurance cannot go over your initial score. Remy will be forced to pay for breakfast for everyone. We don't need to recover the endurance, but Brother Kern will point out that if anyone gets seasick and starts chucking their guts up, they'll be grateful to have some food in there, because dry heaving is even worse. If any of your comrades who didn't, if you had any comrades who didn't stay here, you can find out where they spent the night by turning to another section, but after that, since all players stayed here, we get to go to section number 4 instead. Hooray! Don't you know you never split the party? The cleric in the back keeps the fighter hale and hearty, the wizard in the middle where he can shed some light, and you never let that damn thief out of sight. Come on, I'm sure some of you know that song. Although, why would you put the cleric in the back? You'd put him in the, like, 2nd rank fighter, and then the thief would guard the back to protect the wizard. Anyway. You get up from bed in the pre-dawn twilight, and after some preparation you trudge down to the quayside where the Magdalen is already a hive of activity. The captain greets you warmly and introduces you to the oars master. Soon you are sitting at a rowing bench experimenting with your grip on the wooden oar. "Luckily," the oarmaster tells you, "a fair wind is blowing from the south, so the Magdalen will be able to use her sails once she has been rowed out of the harbour." Straining to put all of your weight into your strokes, you ease the Magdalen out from the quay, and soon your shipmates are singing one of the old Craftian sea shanties in time to the stroke of the oars. Because that's what sea shanties are for, they're to help you time the jobs on the ship. Also, when the shantyman starts a shanty, the sailors know which job needs to be done and don't need commands from the captain. Look, the captain will have given his orders, some of the sailors will have heard them, one's around the ship doing other jobs who won't, they'll hear the song and know what job to jump to. The ship is rocked by the waves of the ocean as she leaves the shelter of the harbour, and your own contribution to the singing dies suddenly as you feel an unfamiliar churning in your stomach caused by the motion of the waves. Some players may be seasick, but not sages who can control any nausea they might feel. All other adventuring classes must roll 2 dice. Add 1 to result if you had breakfast. If your score is 10 or more, you are soon violently ill and you lose 2 endurance points, unless you had only 2 endurance points left, in which case you will not die from seasickness, although you might think you will at the time. Reduce your endurance to 1 in this case. So, Remy Add 1 if you had breakfast. Okay. Remy is seasick. He feels terrible. Sir Alwyn is not seasick. He's hale and hearty. Maybe we should put Brother Kern at the back. And Ariadne is also not seasick. Only Remy goes and pukes up over the side, and Brother Kern will go and stand sagaciously beside him and pat him on the shoulder and encourage him and suggest that maybe this is the price he pays for carrying all those beautiful coins. The rest of the day passes uneventfully, and towards dusk Captain Durzu points the ship in towards the shoreline. Soon you're in a small cove where you beach and set up camp for the night. This cannot be our final destination, but it's where we'll rest for now. And Brother Kern will attempt a 2-point healing roll. Nope, loses them. We do not get to help Remy feel any better. Each player will recover 1 endurance if they are below their maximum. Oh, hey, guess what? I should have just done that after resting. So those 2 points Remy lost, only really 1. Some of the sailors have caught squirrels in the woodland fringing the shore and are now cooking a stew over the campfire. You may eat some breakfast and recover 1 endurance point, which could lead to further seasickness, but it will probably help keep everyone in good shape in case any danger should arise on our journey. Soon you board the ship, and rowing against the waves that break at the mouth of the cove, you head back out to sea. Again, a steady wind bears you northwards. At noon, you glimpse an extraordinary sight. From the far horizon off to the south, a small speck appears and, growing in size by the second, hurtles towards you. You see that it is a man flying on a carpet. Soon you stare up at him where he hovers above the deck. Ignoring the other sailors, he looks at you. "If you are bound for Wyrd, as I think you are," he says, "then perhaps you would prefer to travel by more comfortable means." He indicates the carpet with a flourish of his violet cloak. I don't think we trust this man. We know where the ship is going. We don't know where he is going. And we can always intimidate the captain and the crew or coerce them into taking us where we need to go, or even Remy could trick him. This fellow is clearly a master of powerful magic and could turn us into monkeys or something, I don't know. Let's say no. For reasons which will become readily apparent. Remember this picture? We got to see it when we were buying Screeb over Raven. That looks like some kind of lightning power or something coming from his hand. The violet-cloaked man gives you a rather wintry smile. "This will never do," he says with a quiet. This will never do," he says with quiet menace. "Augustus of Vantery is not one who can take no for an answer." He takes a bottle from his belt and pours its sulphurous contents into the sea, shrieking, "Latet mors engurgite vasto!" Probably gurgite? Not sure. Immediately a white frothing disturbs the surface of the sea. The waters seethe and churn as a vast wave rises up to form a huge fist. It gathers size as it rolls towards the ship, and soon it is higher than the mast. The sailors cower in dread. The captain crosses himself and murmurs, "We're doomed. It will smash us to flotsam." Unless I choose to save you, snaps Augustus. "Come now. I will call off the Undine if you will just do one thing. To save yourselves, you must fling the scabbard of the blood sword into the sea. Now, we didn't tell him we had the scabbard of the blood sword, so he knows about it already. And we were also told never to part with it. We could do as he says, but we're blatantly not going to. So off to section 439 we go. So be it, says the wizard Augustus, folding his arms. Die then. Die then. The water elemental bears relentlessly down on you. You have 3 rounds before it reaches the ship. That is, each player has the chance for 3 actions. It is possible to shoot arrows at the elemental or to cast spells at it, although it doesn't. You know what? I was going to do something really sensible when they got on the ship. So I'm going to do it now. When they got on the ship, Sir Alwyn pointed out that his sword arm won't be much good aboard the ship. So he was going to give Blutgetranke to Remy, and Remy was going to give his enchanted sword to Ariadne, and she was going to give her normal sword to Sir Alwyn. Something I forgot to do earlier because I was wrapped up in the fun and games. Sir Alwyn feels that, or rather felt, when they boarded the vessel, look, and also Remy was seasick, so maybe he gave him the sword to cheer him up and look, here, have an even better magic sword. And that's this way Ariadne gets a magic sword as well, which she might need to increase her fighting prowess to a moderately competent standard. I really wish I'd said that earlier when they were getting on the ship. I forgot. I had a plan as to what kind of supplies people might buy and how to equip themselves. Right. That is, each player has the chance for 3 actions. It is possible to shoot arrows at the elemental or to cast spells at it, although it is immune to psychic spells. Perhaps you will be able to destroy it in time. The elemental has 65 endurance. I don't think we're going to be able to destroy it in time. Or you may prefer to concentrate your attacks on Augustus himself. He is within range of arrows and spells, but arrows shot at him would be across the prevailing wind. So the first shoot roll each player takes must be on 2 dice plus 2, as he or she makes adjustment for the wind speed. Augustus only has a mere endurance rating of 40. We may be able to kill Augustus. We may be able to subject Augustus to servile enfrawlment, but he has a psychic ability of 9, and we already have 1 spell prepared. If you kill or enthrall the elemental, which is immune to psychic spells, so it can't be enthralled. Otherwise, after 3 rounds, that's going to be an incredibly short and brutal, deadly fight. Well, I'll go away and make a map and prepare it. See you in a bit. Here we are. I know this particular encounter didn't have a battle map in the original adventure for a very obvious reason. In that the ship is pretty stationary, there's not much point moving around on it. The elemental is much larger than the vessel. I could make it a bit larger. But I've kept it a little smaller so that I can move it towards the ship to give a sense of ever-impending doom. Here we have Augustus de Vanteri on his flying carpet, and our heroes and the ship's crew probably quaking in their boots. Now this is a very challenging encounter. We can try and shoot the water elemental. The Undine has 65 endurance. Now traditionally, Undines are thought of as small, fairly inoffensive water elementals. But there was this trend in the 1980s of going with the traditional Greek names for all elementals. So, what was it? Undines for water, gnomes for earth, salamanders for fire, and air wasn't Zephyr. What was it? It was something. It'll come to me eventually. I know Labyrinth, the world's first live roleplay. Well, Treasure Trap or Labyrinth, which one was first? But Labyrinth, the main one, used those names, as did, I think, RuneQuest and a number of other games. Not everyone did. A lot of them were just like, fire elemental, air elemental, and so on, right? I'm not going to bother setting up initiative because Augustus de Vantry doesn't take actions at the moment. The Undine moves towards the ship once a round. It'll arrive at the end of the third round, and then the ship will probably be smashed to matchwood. What are you saying, Raph? It's smashed to matchsticks. Come on. Matchwood? I don't think that's used so much. Anyway, since it's Remy, then everyone else. We'll do Remy first. Now, we can try and shoot at the Undine and deal 65 points of damage to it. Realistically, how would we do this? We just wouldn't. If Ariadne had prepared... Oh, she hasn't prepared anything. That's not right. That's not right. I've got Eye of the Tiger written down. We must have used it in a previous fight. Let's whack it in there anyway, because why not? She didn't know what was coming next, right? Obviously, I either forgot to remove it or forgot to reduce... I think I just forgot to remove it after the last fight. If she were to prepare Nemesis Bolt, which would be a complexity level 5... she would need to be rolling a 3 on 2 dice to cast it, and it would only do 7d6 plus 7. So half of 42... No, just three 7s, so 21. It would do like 28 points of damage, right? So we would be looking at 28 points of damage on round 1, and then again on round 3. That would be 56, so we'd still need some arrows into the elemental to stand a chance. Augustus de Vantry, on the other hand, is considerably less durable at a mere 40 endurance points. So again, we are highly unlikely to harm him. But we've got to try. So, let's begin with round 1. Fight! As I said, not doing initiative count, I'll just write it in the chat window there. Remy's going to fire an arrow. The first arrows against Augustus de Vantry are likely to miss, but we will try. We have to make the effort, futile though it is, to preserve this vessel. We could also try to cast a spell of Servile Enfrawment on him. With a psychic ability of 9, it is highly unlikely. Let's loose that shaft. And be grateful that Remy is using a magic bow. That actually hits, and because it's a magic bow, it does a little bit of extra damage. We're on the chance here, 2 whole points. Yeah, it would have been nice to get 7, wouldn't it? But, oh well. Now, before Brother Kern looses his shaft, Ariadne will attempt to cast the Eye of the Tiger. So, here we go. Oh, it's actually the same difficulty as the... Oh, yes! So we got Eye of the Tiger for 4 rounds, the whole fight. Okay. I'm not going to replace Scream Over Raven with the spell. I could just whack him in token notes, I suppose, but I'm not going to do that. I'm keeping it simple with things visible on screen as visible on screen reminders. So, Brother Kern will load and loose a shot, which will hit, mercifully, and deal 6 points of damage to Augustus de Vanteri. The winds not particularly availing him here. And Sir Alwyn will pace. Will he pace on the deck in frustration? No, he'll stand there. He'll sort of rush to the gunwales. Yes, I know, dear Americans. It's spelt gunwale, but it's pronounced gunnel. Ship terminology can be strange sometimes. And he will glare at the creature, maybe even, grip the gunwale tightly with his hands, knuckles whitening as he feels powerless in the situation. And at the end of round 1, the Undyne will continue its advance towards the vessel. Augustus de Vanteri sits on his flying carpet there smugly and plucks the arrow from his shoulder. He's like, what a nuisance. Round 2. Fight! Remy's kind of got range now, so he'll take a shot. Oh yes, because the magic bow makes his fighting prowess count as an 8, just like the Blutgetrank the magic sword does. So that is a hit, and we will mark off an arrow. Speaking of which, I didn't mark off Brother Kern's arrow last time, so I'll be marking off 2 of his now, because he will also be shooting. So 1 whole die of damage. No, this is magic bow. 1d6 plus 1. A whole extra point of damage. 5. Ooh! Taken down to 27. If we can get a damaging spell in here, like Sword Thrust, I reckon, might be worth a risk. And Brother Kern will also shoot. That shot will hit because his fighting prowess is improved by 1 by the Eye of the Tiger spell. Now, the Eye of the Tiger spell doesn't explicitly mention archery. +1 to your fighting prowess and damage rolls. Yeah, so it's that included. It uses fighting prowess. Excellent. And an extra 1 point to damage rolls. Hang on, Remy, that's an extra 1 point from that arrow. Well, let's see what damage Brother Kern's arrow can do. 5 points, +1 for the extra magic enhancing Remy's is 6. That is 21. I would imagine that Augustus de Vanteri is feeling rather less safe now. And Ariadne will prepare a sword thrust spell, just in case she can get it off and do high damage. At the end of the round, the Undyne moves even perilously closer to the vessel, its mighty fist raised to crash and splinter wood as if it were balsa wood. Again, Sir Alwyn feels virtually useless. What a horrible situation to be in as the warrior. Round 3. Fight! Remy will load and loose another arrow. This is a situation of emergency. And we haven't even got off a damaging spell yet. Okay. 2d6 on the shot. Misses! At least we're not shooting against the wind now so badly. We got... But yeah, that's going to go wide, I'm afraid. Okay, Brother Kern had better mark off another arrow. Now, the good side of this is that we will be able to put Brother Kern's 2 arrows with Remy's 3 arrows into 1 quiver and free up a little more inventory space after this encounter, if we have anything at all after this encounter. Let Brother Kern take his shot. May the gods guide his hands. Oh yes. Let's have some damage, please. 4 points. Augustus de Vantry drops to 17 endurance. He still lives. Ariadne will attempt to cast her spell. It's a complexity level 2 spell, so we're on 2d6 plus 2, looking for an 8 or less. Oh, you beauty. A magical sword blade of force slices and impales into Augustus. Let's see some damage. And of course, as we know, it's 3d6 plus 3. 17! Oh, perfect! Takes him out of action. Oh, wow. And that was the last moment too. At the end of the round, the Undyne would arrive and we'd be out of time. Oh, wow. Okay. We don't get to see what happens if the Undyne arrives, but let me tell you, it involves the warrior throwing a sword at Augustus de Vantry, making a single fighting prowess roll to try and kill him as he comes swooping in on his carpet to take a good look. But no, he doesn't get to come close and see us and our perilous situation. He doesn't come to witness our doom because he gets killed by a magical thrusting sword of energy, which should be removed from an active prepared spell. Wow. Sir Alwyn doesn't need the non-magical sword now, because you wouldn't want to throw Blutgetranker away into the sea, you know. Okay. Whoa. We did it. We done did it. We killed him. And it's just the previous... We just get to scroll up a little. Hey. At the instant Augustus is slain, you hear a moan of incredulous joy go up from the sailors gathered at the rail. The water elemental has vanished as though it never existed. Perhaps it was, in fact, just some deadly phantasm conjured up by the wizard's magic. You watch his corpse tumble from the carpet and disappear under the waves. A thin strand of his blood is caught in the ship's wake and swirls in a faint pink eddy as you sail on amid great revelry from the crew. A jug of gin is passed around, but you stand aloof at the stern and watch the hovering carpet disappear into the distance. It will mark forever the spot where its master's body fell into the sea. Until perhaps someone finds a way to claim it, or a dragon or a big bird comes and snatches it out of the sky. That was really close. I don't think we could have done enough damage to take out the Undyne itself. The rest of the day passes uneventfully, and night creeps slowly across the sky. There is a possibility of seasickness for players who were ill yesterday. This entails a roll of 2 dice if you had breakfast, 2 dice minus 1 if you didn't. On a score of 9 or less, the player has got his sea legs, but on a score of 10 or more, he is ill again, losing 2 endurance points. Down to a minimum endurance score of 1, seasickness is never fatal. Well, Remy's the only one who got sick. And he did have breakfast. It's a difficulty 10, but we're not adding 1 for breakfast anymore. We're subtracting it if we didn't have it. Remy's got his sea legs and he's not seasick now. That is brilliant. As the last glimmer of sunlight fades beyond the high cliffs along the coast, the captain takes the ship into a cove where you will spend the night. Your sleep is dreamless and deep. Each player recovers 1 endurance point, plus another point if he or she decides to have breakfast. They'll have breakfast. It'll help keep them warm and insulated against the cold they're about to experience when they get to the frozen Northlands. You row north, keeping the coast in view. "Tonight we should reach Dower Haven," predicts the captain. He is right. Dusk sees your ship gliding past the black stone harbour walls and into the dock. Even at this late hour, the wharf is crowded with longshoremen, merchants and fishermen. All bustle around, so intent on their business that they do not seem to notice the cold or the light flurry of snowflakes drifting down out of the evening sky. The captain sees you standing on the quay and comes over, pointing to a row of shops leading from the seafront. Yonder is the chandler's. Perhaps you need to buy provisions for your journey. He also supplies bread and salted fish. At the end of the street you'll find the Thimble Winter Inn, which, despite its ominous name, is a hospitable place run by an old Mercanian merchant of my acquaintance. You thank the captain and set off down the street. We can visit the chandler's shop. Don't chandlers make candles? Or pass on, but no, we'll go visit the shop. Why not? You hurry along the street to the chandler's. A thin veil of snow makes the dark cobblestones slick underfoot, and a raw wind blows from the north. Seeing a lantern in the shop window, you enter. A tall, thin man, wrapped in a thick woolen cloak, steps over from the hearth to greet you. I was about to close up for the night, he says, but if your business won't take long, then I can serve you now. Here's a number of things you might find useful on your quest. Fur cloaks, 14 gold pieces each. That's like twice what the merchants were selling back in Kwanongu. Iron rations, 2 gold pieces each. Gloves, 2 gold pieces a pair. Bedrolls, 6 gold pieces each. A little more expensive now. Brazier of fuel, 10 gold pieces. So more expensive prices the closer we are to danger. Well, I think Brother Kern will give his 2 remaining arrows to Remy the Trickster. This frees up another inventory slot. We got rations, two weeks rations. Everyone's got folk cloak and gloves. The sage and enchantress have bedrolls. Yeah, we'll buy the... Wait. Did I not? Brazier and fuel. So Sir Alwyn already has it. So what else could we get here? We could get another bedroll. In which case, Remy could give the golden snuff box of Shormiano back to Brother Kern. Then Remy could buy a bedroll for himself. Or we could get more rations. We've only got 12 days rations. 14, 3 of us. That'll last about 3 days, won't it? Ooh. Maybe the extra food will be beneficial. Sorry, I'm trying not to be too jubilant at actually defeating Augustus de Vantry without having to have the warrior resort to throwing his sword, which means, however, that now we're on dry land again, Remy can return Blutgetranke to its rightful owner, and Ariadne can return the enchanted sword also to its rightful owner, in this case obviously Remy, and then Sir Alwyn will return her normal unenchanted sword to her. This will probably not be the last time that she carries Remy's enchanted sword. She's likely to... I think it'll become her permanent weapon by the end of Book 3. because we will have other items. I think Sir Alwyn can get a new magic weapon in this adventure, and then give Blutgetranke to Remy. Remy can give his magic sword to Ariadne, and she can get rid of her normal sword. But anyway, I think we're done in the shop here. No, we're not. I haven't decided what I'm buying for that. Wait. I was going to buy a bedroll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's happened? What have I messed up on? I have a bedroll. I bought it. Okay, no, it's there. Right, excellent. Let's leave the shop. Wow. Okay. Oof. Too sleep deprived today. You push open the heavy door of the Thimble Winter Inn, grateful for the warmth that envelops you and quickly drives the chill from your bones. The common room is almost deserted, but the landlord, a short, thick-set man with a black beard, greets you cheerily. There is a crackling fire in the hearth. Oh, that... There is a crackling good fire in the hearth, he booms. Sit down, I will briefly describe the tariff of this establishment. For a gold piece, you may purchase supper. A small sum for the hot spiced ale, root cakes and Mercanian black pudding, for which the Thimble Winter is famed. We have private rooms at the moment, for We have private rooms at the moment, for commerce is slack now, with winter coming in. A room costs 1 gold piece, but you may sleep on the floor here in the common room for nothing. Decide whether you wish to have supper or a room, and cross off the appropriate sum. I think, since our adventurers are going to rest, it's high time that I go do the same. This has probably been a decent enough episode length. Alright. Well, I'm going to end this one here. I hope you've all enjoyed this episode, and I will look forward to seeing you all in the very next one. I'll say goodbye for now, though, and cheerio, everyone. See you all soon.